Good afternoon, my name is Ola Tamanova, and I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform. Today is day 850 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor, and our first broadcast will be dedicated to the situation in Zaporizhia NPP. So now we will be talking about what's going on there. Joining us online will be Hryhorii Plachkov, head of the State Inspectorate for Nuclear Regulation in 2017-2021. Mr. Hryhorii, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Greetings. Mr. Hryhorii, we know that on the 19th of June there was a destruction of a substation called Promen in the city of Enerhodar. IAEA confirmed this fact on the 21st of June, so the first question is about what's known about the situation and what are the potential consequences of this destruction. Well, look, the nuclear power plant, currently all of the reactors work in cold idle mode. The destruction of substation is definitely not good because the NPP is fed by two power lines, 750 and 1300, and to make sure that the NPP covers its electricity consumption needs, because it does not generate any electricity, it only consumes some power. So again, this fact is not quite good because the nuclear power plant is supposed to be fed with electric power 24/7. Talking about the situation in the NPP, well, it's not getting better. The occupiers continue staying at the facilities of the Ukrainian nuclear power plant. There was news about their attempts trying to reconnect one of the reactors not to the Ukrainian power grid, but to connect it to the facilities of the grid of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. But we currently don't have any information about the fact of such reconnection. Currently, all of the 6 reactors are in cold idle mode, and the invaders are still staying at our nuclear power plant. Mr. Hryhorii, we know that there are representatives of IAEA mission at the nuclear power plant. So what do they say? Yeah, basically there is presence of IAEA in all of the 5 Ukrainian nuclear power plants, including Chernobyl and Zaporizhia NPPs. Recently, there was an interview of Mr. Grossi, the head of IAEA, published in the international press, and he says that they are a body of technical regulation. They are, so to say, the instrument of constraining the invaders from inflicting serious damage on Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. One, two. I'm asking our technical team to check the connection. We work under conditions of rolling power shutdowns. This is why we may experience some technical problems. We are trying to re-establish the connection with Mr. Hryhorii Plachkov. Let me remind you, joining us online is Mr. Hryhorii Plachkov, the head of the State Inspectorate for Nuclear Regulation in 2017-2021, and now our technical team is trying to re-establish the connection. Yeah, unfortunately, oh, yeah, I see the power is back on. Mr. Hryhorii, we can hear you. Unfortunately, the power went off on my end. That's why I'll try to only use microphone to provide some explanations. Okay, so getting back to Mr. Grossi's comments. So he had provided quite a comprehensive information saying that the IAEA is a technical regulation agency, they try to mitigate or minimize the damage being inflicted by the occupier to the NPP, but they keep emphasizing that all of the factors that are necessary to make sure that the nuclear power plant works in a safe mode of operation are violated. This is why the situation at the NPP remains quite tense, because the personnel remains hostage by the invaders. Unfortunately, we don't have any information about any repair and maintenance works being performed at NPP, about the condition of fuel in the reactors and the condition of the reactors themselves in Zaporizhia NPP, whether the equipment is degrading or not. And again, the situation is under control by the IAEA. However, unfortunately, we don't have full information, because IAEA experts are not being admitted to some of the reactors, to some of the equipment. This is why to say whether they are in control of the situation is quite difficult. In my opinion, they are more of a constraining technical factor to make sure that unrespected Russians don't inflict more damage on the power plant equipment. Thank you very much for this comprehensive answer. Dear spectators, let me remind you that we work with the power off currently. This is why we cannot see Mr. Hryhorii. Well, Mr. Hryhorii, another question is about one of the communiques of the Global Peace Summit. It was related to the situation in Zaporizhia NPP. To what extent it may change the situation over there? 1, 2. Mr. Hryhorii? Unfortunately, our speaker got disconnected again. Let me remind you again, we keep working with the rolling power shutdowns that may result in technical problems with the connection. Hopefully we will be able to get our speaker reconnected once again. Well, I can even see you right now, and here we can both hear and see you, sir. I apologize as we work in conditions like this. Hopefully the spectators will take it with understanding. Mr. Hryhorii, have you heard the last question? Well, for what I understand, it was a question. Well, unfortunately not. It was breaking up. The connection was lost somewhere in the middle. So in one of the provisions of the final communique of the Global Peace Summit that took place in Switzerland, there was an article dedicated to the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. So the question is, to what extent it may change the situation in the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Well, look, if the international community who understands the threat posed by the situation in Zaporizhia NPP, if they don't continue pressing on the Russian Federation with regard to voluntary vacation of the Zaporizhia NPP and reestablishment of Ukrainian control and regulation of the Zaporizhia NPP, it's clear that it should be done, because first of all, the NPP lacks personnel, and another thing, there's a lot of the military in the perimeter of Zaporizhia NPP facilities. So again, there's a lot of risks here, including the psychological condition of this licensed personnel who remain working in Zaporizhia NPP. And if international community continues pressing on Russian Federation to have them vacate the territory of Zaporizhia NPP, well, if this communique will be able to bring us closer to liberation of Zaporizhia NPP, we will all support it. But unfortunately, the occupier doesn't care about any international agreements or conventions that were joined by Russian Federation as to the safe use of the nuclear power, as to the physical protection of the nuclear power generation facilities, and as to the handling of nuclear fuel. So unfortunately, communique is out there, but the invader remains an invader, and I hope they will not, I mean, I'm almost sure they will not leave the territory of Zaporizhia NPP voluntarily. For them, they are so-called staples of Russian Federation, the fact of invasion and the fact that they keep control of it. And again, you see, using military power, it's impossible to liberate Zaporizhia NPP because the nuclear power plants are not designed for battle operations, are taking place in the territory, in the facilities of NPP, or in its whereabouts. So it should be a voluntary handover of the controls to Ukrainian side. I obviously favor this communique, and really the more the international community exercises pressure on irrespective Russian Federation, the easier it will be for us, and hopefully there will be no accidents or non-standard events in Zaporizhia NPP. Thank you very much, Mr. Hryhorii, for joining our broadcast. Thank you for the comprehensive information you've provided, and our next broadcast will be at 2 o'clock. Joining us online will be Artem Lysakor, the military governor of Luhansk region. So keep in touch.